Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over the best speed Demon Hunter build for Season 23 or Patch 2.7. With the newest changes actually adding a huge buff to all of the primaries, Bolas is a lot more viable to do speed T16s. And if you want to do up to, let's say, GR 100, that would be definitely viable with the newer changes that Bola has actually received. So keep in mind, just a heads up, everything that I'm mentioning right now is over on the PTR as far as our data, but I don't think they're going to be nerfing Bolas anytime soon anyways. So going into the changes that I want to go ahead and start off the video with, showing off the huge differences between what we have right now and the new buff that Bola has actually gotten. So this is the newer version of the God Demon Hunter with the new 6-piece bonus granting us 15,000% increased damage with our primary skills. The previous version of the God set granted us 10,000%. Now, in addition with this change, there's also another change with anyone that was playing the Hungering Arrow build, which technically is the best Demon Hunter build if you're still looking to push the highest greater rifts. But this video is focusing in on Bolas being the best for the speed version of the Demon Hunter, as the other nerfs with the Hungering Arrow are going to be covered right now, which are going to be with the 9th series satchel. So with the current version of it, it just makes it so Hungering Arrow is guaranteed to pierce, and it's basically going to hit everything along its path. Basically, there's a set like duration or length, if you will, of the Hungering Arrow. But this has actually been nerfed. The new version of the 9th series satchel has a change where Hungering Arrow can only pierce up to 3 times. It's still going to be one of the best builds if you want to push for the highest greater rift, but if you're looking for speed, you're going to be definitely outclassed with the new Bola build. In fact, you guys are seeing it in the background for the gameplay. You'll see it's consistently just a little over a minute, and we're clearing these greater rifts, doing speed T16s. And like I said, if you have enough Paragon and you start augmenting things, you can do up to, I would say, about 100 relatively fast and easy. But if you, again, want to push, I will also link the D3 planner for the best build in terms of pushing. But for the gameplay, they're pretty much exactly the same. And I know previously we did have a build where we showed off with the Avarice Band, Boon the Hoarder, but now I really don't think you need it. With these changes, you're going to be able to do enough damage, because when you throw in an Avarice Band, Boon the Hoarder, not only do you have to level that up, but you're also losing a significant amount of damage, which can affect your gameplay in terms of your speed. Because if we're looking for speed, we want to be as fast and efficient as possible. But if you get enough Paragons, like several thousand, yeah, you can swap off certain pieces of gear for Avarice Band, Boon the Hoarder. But for the most part, especially if we're looking at like season starters, this is going to be one of the best starters for a speed build if you're looking to clear out content super fast, level up your gems and stuff like that. But let's go ahead and go over the changes with the equipment and the passives, as I've made this build a lot faster. Now that basically we're able to one-shot things with that 15,000% bonus, it makes it so much smoother to play this build. So first off, in terms of what's in the cube, we've got the Bow of Hashir. This can actually be swapped out for the Dawn. It doesn't matter. Whatever one rolls the worst, just go ahead and throw it in the cube. And then this is optional. You can run a Hexing Pants of Mr. Yan or the Depth Diggers. Either one is definitely a viable, and in fact you can actually just have the 6-piece of the God Demon Hunter set, and then you'd open up the ring and the armor slot if you want to, depending on how you want to play it. If you want to keep Road Ring or Grandeur and then equip the Depth Diggers and have an extra armor slot, that's fine. Or you can go ahead and put Depth Diggers inside the Kanai's cube and then just run the 6-piece and then free up your ring or jewelry slot, which can actually be the S of Johan to group up enemies even harder. But I felt like it was able to group up enemies perfectly fine, as the cold rune on Bolas, it shoots 3 Bolas instead of 1. Now, there are other builds that do use the lightning rune. I've seen that be played, but the proc rate on that is absolutely terrible. I think the cold rune is definitely the way to go, but if you prefer it, by all means, you can swap it to that. But you're seeing me group up the enemies, and basically, since we're shooting out 3 Bolas at a time, it cleans up the entire like rift super fast. Again, it's just a little over a minute in all of these runs. But in terms of the passives, we need to run Ambush so we can get as much damage as possible to one-shot things. Blood Vengeance so we can actually gain the extra discipline. And then we have Tactical Advantage for more speed, and then Hot Pursuit for more speed. This is basically going to make it so we're on par with basically Avarice Band and Boon of the Hoarder, because we have these other skills that are going to make us even faster. With Smokescreen Displacement, we gain 100% movement speed while invisible. This also helps us with survivability with Squirt's necklace, as with the new Emanate system in patch 2.7 or season 23, we don't actually have to equip the Flavor of Time, so it just makes things much faster for us. And this also helps us out keep the Squirt's necklace active pretty much at 10 at all times. As you guys will see, we basically don't really ever take damage, with the exception of like some type of AoE on the ground. And then we have Preparation, Focused Mind for extra discipline. Then we just keep up Vengeance with Dark Heart. We're going to have this up at all times. And we want the Focused Mind so we gain more discipline over a duration versus instantly. And then we have Shadow Power, Shadow Glide for, again, more movement speed. Then just like any God DH, you're going to be spamming Strafe the whole time while keeping up your stacks of momentum with the Bolas, specifically using the Freezing Strike to be able to hit multiple enemies. And keep in mind, when all those enemies start getting grouped up, they're going to get hit by multiple of those bolas, since they're just getting shot at so fast of a fire rate. But that's going to wrap it up for the skills. Now moving on to the pieces of gear, there's not anything too particular that would be different. And in fact, I try to keep it as similar as I could to the regular God DH. That way, when you want to push, you don't really have to swap that many things. Maybe just the skills and you'll be ready to go. Because a lot of times what would happen is people would have to, start leveling up again, Boon of the Horde, and you have to swap the gems. It's just much faster this way. So for the amulet, so you still want the same thing, cold, crit hit chance, crit hit damage. If you don't get the cold damage, don't worry. Getting main stat is perfectly fine. The gameplay that you're seeing, I'm just running one that just happens to run main stat instead of cold skills, but eventually once you climb high enough in the Paragon department and start augmenting, then cold skills will definitely be a lot better. But in the very beginning, when you don't have like 10k plus in the main stat, then getting that main stat will be more important. For the helmet, the only important thing to mention is that you run the diamond in the helmet, so you can have extra cooldown reduction that will help upkeep your Vengeance as much as possible, as well as your preparation, but just getting that crit hit chance is important. On the shoulders, you only really need to try to get that area damage and cooldown. Those are the two important things. If you can get reduced resource costs, that's okay too. Keep in mind, just trying to spam as much as possible all of your upkeeps for that additional movement speed is really good. And then for our gloves, nothing too special with this. Crit chance, crit damage, and then getting that cooldown reduction is the most important thing. For the chest, nothing important to mention, just a bunch of defensive stats. You can throw diamonds or emeralds in the rest of your pieces of gear. It doesn't really matter too much. And then for the bracers, we want the Wraps of Clarity, just like you normally would have. And we'll still get the Nemesis bracers, but we're going to have those emanate inside with our follower over here. Now with the new change for Season 23 or Patch 2.7. And then for the rings, we want Focus and Restraint still, and we just want that cooldown. That's the only important thing that we want to try to get on both of them. So again, we can upkeep Vengeance as much as possible. And then for the belt, it's the Hunter's Wrath. This is something we've all been using for a really long time. It's just primary skills attack faster and they deal more damage. Same thing with the Depth Diggers, just more damage. There's nothing too important to mention with this, with the exception of getting that increased Bola damage on not only the belt, but the pants. So these two, you want the Bola damage. And if you can get it on the offhand, that could be good, but it's just so hard to get all of that. Basically what you want on your offhand is really that crit hit chance, as well as that cooldown reduction. That's the most important thing with that. Now, for the weapon, only important thing is really getting that cooldown reduction. And then for the boots, there's nothing in particular that you need with that, because you can't roll like Bola damage on that. But in terms of the legendary gems, we want the Teguk, because we will be channeling the whole time. And then Bane of the Trap, just for that extra damage, and we're doing cold anyway, so it's perfect. And then we want to also have Simplicity Strength, because it worked quite well with, of course, our primary skill dealing most of our damage, which is going to be Bolas. And with the 15,000% increased damage multiplier, we just get so much additional damage with the Simplicity Strength. So there's nothing too special with that. It's just more numbers made it a lot more viable to play. Before, previously with the Bolas, sometimes you'd have to kind of circle back. And again, it really comes down to, if you want to get faster, and you want to try running Boon of the Horde or Avarice Band, by all means, go ahead and do that. But again, a lot of times, if you're not one-shotting things, that will significantly decrease your speed. A lot of times, you're probably seeing the gameplay, I don't even confirm that a lot of the enemies are going to be dead. A lot of times, I can just walk past them, and what happens is the Bolas, there's a small delay before they explode, and once they're all grouped up, because that's how the thing works with the Boa Hashir, where they, on the explosion, they'll pull all the enemies in. Sometimes you don't have to actually sit there and kill all the enemies and like make sure that they die. You can just zip past them. They will die off screen, or they'll just die as you kind of progress. But you do want to still collect the orbs, so if there are elites, make sure you go back around and don't mind some of the fire explosions that you'd normally be afraid of to like stand next to, because you will be able to keep up smoke screen. Make sure this is active though. There's a brief moment when you activate it, after it ends, that you can't activate it again, no matter how much cooldown you get. It's just the way that this thing actually works. It has like an internal cooldown that must be met before it actually lets you start activating it again. So you want to make sure, if you are going to stand in those fiery explosions to pick up those orbs, that you activate your smoke screen, and that will significantly increase your speed, as well, yeah, you're going to be able to clear out content much faster and be in any dangerous situation, basically glide through content. But yeah, those are the new changes with the bolas here. Just really, again, comes down to the nerfs that Hungry Arrow got, making it a little bit slower again for speedruns. It's still one of the best builds, but going into Season 23, the only real change with, if you wanted to play like the God DH with the most meta build, the only real change is you just don't equip Flavor of Time. You can equip the S of Johann, or you can throw in Squirt Necklace. Might make you take too much damage, but just equip the Flavor of Time on your follower. That's like the only change here, really. So I didn't really feel like it was necessary to make a guide for that, but I did want to make one for bolas, as heck, that was like the only last change that we went over for the newest season or patch 2.7. And if you guys want to see gameplay of the new Firebird Wizard or the new Bone Spirit Necromancer, those will all be pinned down below. But this was the last video as far as things that got like an update on the PTR, and going into Season 23, this is the only 3 classes that really got a big enough change to actually matter for the most part. But we still have to cover the follower video, so I'll be uploading that very soon. But anyways, that's going to go ahead and wrap up the video. If you guys have any questions, definitely let me know in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. And if you want to see more Diablo content when Season 23 comes out, I'll be giving you guys more updated guides and builds, as most of the stuff probably will end up going over. I'm not sure if we're going to get any huge new change, but I still do have to cover the follower thing, as that is pretty big, and that will cover all classes. But this one's just focusing in on the bolas, as it is so much fun to play. And I think next season I might actually just roll with this, because it's legitimately so fast. I mean, it's the fastest build for DH, hands down. But anyways, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a good one. I'm signing out. Peace.